Hey guys, it's Clinton here from One Stop Adventures, just enjoying a beer on the beach in Cape Tribulation, in the Daintree Rainforest, the oldest living rainforest in the world. It's absolutely beautiful. I got up about 4 a.m. this morning to come up for a couple of days and check out this awesome place. That's right guys, I was heading up to Cape Tribulation in the Daintree Rainforest, right up in far north tropical Queensland. The last time I visited the Daintree, I was barely 1 year old, so it's fair to say I had some fairly fond memories of the place and I was looking forward to catching up with a few old mates. After a delightful flight with Tiger Airways from Melbourne to Cairns with ample legroom, I took a taxi to Spaceship's office, where I picked up my car, Sabre. I got the keys from the friendly staff, and then I was off on my way, up to the Daintree Rainforest. The drive up there, of course, is magnificent. There's lots of beautiful views to be had and lots of places to stop off to get some stunning photos. You take the ferry across, lose all your mobile phone reception, and then you arrive in the rainforest, where more stunning views and photo opportunities await. I took advantage of my time capturing a few happy snaps before I arrived at my destination, Cape Trip Beach House. I headed into reception where I was greeted by the friendly staff.
G'day, I'm Josh from the beach house. Good to meet you.
Josh was a pleasant fella who showed me all there was to do while I was up in the Daintree, and he also showed me how to get to my room and around the resort. He had the kind of dreamy eyes that made a man question his sexuality, but in the end I was like, yeah, nah, I'm still definitely straight. Liz on reception was a bit camera shy at first, but after a little bit of encouragement she finally convinced me to turn the camera off. I checked into my room and headed straight to where the rainforest meets the beach. Just listen to that ocean. After checking out the location, there was time for a few cold beers on the beach and some happy snaps before I got ready to go on my night walk that night. I was picked up from directly out front of the accommodation and taken to the night walk spot. Dwight, our guide, was a knowledgeable fellow with plenty of experience in the industry and knew all about all the animals and the flora and fauna. As soon as we began our trip, we ran into a python. This little guy was hanging out on the road, so Dwight picked him up and returned him safely to a tree. Other interesting things we saw on the night walk were spiders. Pretty big spiders. Also, trees that I can only guess were probably over 1 billion years old. Lots of insects as well. Beautiful butterflies. More insects. An insect that had had fungus explode out of its brain. White-kneed crickets. Boyd's dragons. This left me feeling pretty in love with Cape Trib already. The next morning, I was ready to head out on the Great Barrier Reef on ocean safari. I was greeted by Sarah and Kelly on reception desk. Just look at these two lovely ladies. They absolutely love the camera. These girls took me through a safety briefing, and after finding out that I'd broken my back in 2 places in high school and also suffered from asthma, they made me sign a waiver that pretty much said that my body was a ticking time bomb and they were taking no responsibility for its demise. But seriously, they made everyone feel comfortable on the boat. They gave me a wetsuit which I slipped on with the greatest of ease before having a talk about the 2 spots we were visiting on Mackay Reef that morning. From there it was a short walk through the rainforest and onto the beach before we hopped on the boat and headed out to the Great Barrier Reef. The great thing about Ocean Safari is that they're the only commercial operator that visits Mackay Reef. It's only 25 minutes to get out to the reef and there's only 25 people on the boat. We were treated to a brief safety talk from Ads, our captain, before it was time to put on the snorkel and flippers and hop in the water. It was surprisingly cool in the water for being in a tropical place, but the wetsuit kept most of the cold temperatures out and also helped me float while I snorkeled above the reef. I was a man on a mission to see as much as I could. I was ready to view some sea life. I saw beautiful corals and gorgeous coloured fish. There was plenty of stuff to see and explore, as you can tell from how far I'm away from the boat. I also saw giant clams. This turtle, who was in a pretty big hurry. I followed this blue-ringed ray around for a while before he got intensely fed up with me following him. He turned around and gave me a bit of a death stare, so I backed off a few feet, and eventually he was happy to go on about his day. I then spent a couple of minutes with these two turtles that I ran into on my own, but my GoPro decided to chuck a fit, and instead I had to borrow some footage from Matt and Jess, who were also on my tour that day. Thanks guys for the footage. Look, here's a nice view of the turtle's bum. Not sure where they took it from this angle, but thanks anyway guys. On the way back to the beach, we were treated to the spectacular. We ran into these two male whales fighting over the affections of this female whale. We had about 15 minutes with the whales and it was absolutely amazing. They were so close to the boat, and as the captain kept on going back in for more looks, which even made us late back to the beach, which was amazing. Thanks mate. That afternoon, I went for a delightful walk on the beach before checking out the sunset. Afterwards, there was time for a few cold frothies. Oh yeah, looks like that beer's going down pretty good. The next day, it was time to go jungle surfing with Orion, Robbie, and Tom, our guides. Here's Tom making sure that I'm comfortable and all my bits are in place and won't fall out in my harness. You're then given a helmet with an affectionate nickname, I was Happy Gilmore, before heading on the short walk up to the hamster wheel. The hamster wheel is used to move two people at a time up to the first platform. Everyone gets a go at using the hamster wheel and also being sent up. The harnesses feel nice and secure, and it's easy to hang upside down if you want to have a bit of fun, or you can just take in the views. For me, this ziplining track was all about the views and the jungle. There's even a platform that gives you an amazing view over the ocean, and the guides were more than happy to share all their knowledge about the local wildlife, flora and fauna, and history of Cape Tribulation in between swings. There's a few tandem zip lines and some solo zip lines, and at the end, there's a race. That afternoon, I got myself some ice cream from the Daintree Ice Cream Company before heading out on paddle trek kayak adventures. Liz from reception decided to join me on this adventure, and her camera shyness was gone. She now decided the camera was her best friend. We were treated to the obligatory safety briefing from our guide, Davaj, before we headed out on the kayaks. On this trip, we saw turtles straight away. We saw a dugong, we saw blacktip reef sharks, and lots of fish, and spectacular views. But it's pretty hard to capture it on camera while you're paddling a kayak, so instead, just enjoy this generic footage. Oh yeah, you can really tell by this video that I hardly ever use a kayak. That night I was lucky enough to be invited to a party with the locals where I was keen to have a few cold beers with my new mates. I was also treated to what I can only assume is an ancient welcoming dance by the locals. The next morning it was time to leave the Daintree Rainforest. I sat on the beach with the sun rising and thought about the lessons that the rainforest had taught me about wildlife, sea life, gravity, and friendship. I said goodbye to the guys on reception, and I was out of there. There's so much to do in the Daintree. A couple of things that I didn't have time for was horse riding on the beach and climbing up the top of Mount Sorrow. Definitely get up there if you can. I highly recommend it.